Hello my loves, I'm Ellie Frost. Thank you so much for being on my channel, where we are talking about the multidimensional approach to rapidly and radically healing and transforming during and after narcissistic abuse. My approach is different because not only do we deal with this issue spiritually, energetically, physically and emotionally and mentally, we also don't just heal. We heal, oh yeah, I've got deep healing modalities that are very, very powerful. But we also look at transformation, which is our emotional intelligence and our personal development, right? So it's a complete job. If you just heal, but you don't know how to put things in place to radically change your life afterwards, then even if you leave a narcissist, you might not really evolve in the way you want to, right? So I want to talk about fear and learned helplessness after narcissistic abuse. Now, the learned helplessness is when we learn to be helpless, obviously. And I just want to give you a story on that because I want you to know there's nothing wrong with you wherever you are. As it happened, I grew up in a narcissistic household. I did a ton of personal development work, but I did not know what narcissism was. So I'd conditioned myself and got myself to a point where, I mean, in my 20s, I bought a nice property, had a good job, very good job. I also traveled the world. I've been all over the world, that confident, often on my own, through my own travels and through my career, right? That's a confident woman. I also moved countries. Now, I did suffer from anxiety and panic attacks sometimes, and I didn't know that was all related to PTSD, but I certainly had a lot of courage and passion, and most people would have probably thought I was more confident than other people. I didn't feel that way, to be honest, but like, I'd worked on myself so that I could get my dreams, right? But I didn't understand narcissism. So I moved countries, and after a series of a community, a business relationship that literally tore me to shreds, I couldn't go out of the house. I was so anxious. I could never imagine being the person I was before. I was scared of everything. I was scared of everything. I'd gone through so much that like, I couldn't put who I was with who I now was together. My life had radically transformed in the wrong way, right? In a way that it didn't matter. Like I couldn't connect who I'd been before. That person that went for the dreams, the person that did do things that were unusual, you know, like that. Even though I was very scared in a lot of the things I did, I was not one of those naturally confident people. I don't think I'll ever be because I'm such a sensitive. I certainly didn't let it hold me back. I would always work on myself so that I could do the things I wanted to do in life, right? No matter how scared I was. But like, I'd lost all that. I'd lost it to a point where, honestly, sometimes I didn't think my life was worth living. I'd lost it to a point where I was probably going to cling on to these abuse cycles because I didn't feel that I could be independent. And I'd been fiercely independent. Leaving my house at 18 was one of the biggest things for me, coming from an abusive household. Me being independent, having my own house, losing a home twice since then was the most devastating thing of my life because my home is my sanctuary. I'm an introvert. I'm a very highly sensitive. Being in my own energy, in my own space is very, very important to me. So I had learned to, just literally be helpless. I really couldn't function very well. I had chronic PTSD. I was scared of everything. At this point, the PTSD is so bad, like just a noise would scare me. I thought people were coming to get me. Like I hadn't lost my mind. I was just extremely frightened of life because what I'd experienced is people can really tear you apart in a way that I hadn't expected, right? As I say, that wasn't just to do with my childhood wounds not being healed because honestly, I'd done so much healing. It wasn't that. There's a number of aspects that I talk about on the channel. It is a spiritual attack and I'm a light worker and people know it. I get a lot of spiritual attack and now I understand it's not just because people don't like me, it's because I represent something that they can tell. And some people with different energy working through them likes to tear that down. That is part of being a light worker on the planet. The other thing is, I didn't understand narcissism, so I'm trying to heal them and treat them in an empathetic way where I didn't understand what some predators are capable of, which is really looking at you like a complete target and looking to decimate your life. Not only take your resources, but actually get off on your complete destruction. And that's happened to me a couple of times. And that's that. So during it, one, my sequence work, the energy, I mean, people are writing Sovereign this round. Please go into Sovereign if you can. It's still open, but I'm going to have to close the doors at some point. So it is self-paced, but I support it massively. The people writing today, the energy work in there, the activations and clearings are massive. How I got out of the learned helplessness, honestly, was the energy work that I teach. It put me back in my power. You can't convince a mind that is so fear-based, right? You can't. Because the mind is going to circle around on the thought that it's got. And when fear's in the driving seat, you can't push past that. And if you do, you can just traumatize yourself more. So if you are going to live your life, right, expecting no fear, then you're not going to live your life. Because anything that you do that's courageous is going to require fear, right? So we have to learn how to navigate it. But when we're highly traumatized with an overactive nervous system, pushing past fear can lead to more trauma. That's the issue. So for most people, if they're doing personal development or anything in life, we do need to push past our fear to some extent. But when you're heavily traumatized, you can literally just, you've got a system that's already combusted. So what's happening in your nervous system is it's at max, it's combusting. Put a ton more anything that's more fearful in it, you can't go ahead. So it's not just that you've learned helplessness from a mental point of view that they teach you in psychology. It's actually wisdom of your body, I believe, because you've got a combusted nervous system. And until you regulate it, it's not a good idea to put it under a ton of fear. Yeah, for anyone doing anything in life, right, that takes courage, there's going to be fear. But at the same time, with a regulated nervous system, you can go for it. And as I say, you're not going to, if you're going to live a life with never doing anything you're scared of, then you're not even living a life. People get scared on their wedding day. People get scared when they have a baby. People get scared of the most beautiful moments of our life. We want to be able to do things that are scary again. So if you can get into Sovereign, do, because that energy work is going to give you a strong system, right? And tools to keep your system strong so that you can actually go and live. Right? Fear's got to go in the passenger seat, not the driver's seat. Now, what I would say to you is also, no matter how ill you've been, how beaten down you've been, how stripped down, how traumatized, you can actually completely transform the other way, which I'm also able to tell you from facts, you know, that I'd got to such a point where I couldn't see how I'd ever, I mean, I teach you this too, I'll never be the person I was before, ever, and I don't want to be her. Because I can't even connect to the person I was before. But I am a new person in sense of, I know it was all these experiences was me, but there's a different version of me at every point. And I think we have to understand in life that we're born to evolve, that we integrate our past, right? And actually we do evolve. We learn and we develop, and our experiences do shape us, but it doesn't have to be damage us, right? I don't feel damaged from my narcissistic abuse cycles. I feel wise, yeah? Sometimes I feel like, I know a lot of people say, yeah, I did a video on trauma of injustice. I could easily get into, when I really think about when I moved countries and, you know, I was in the best shape of my life. I was very trusting in what I was doing, and to have all that ripped apart at a time when I didn't know what was coming to me. Yeah, I could feel like, well, I was 7 years younger and I was in the best shape of my life and blah, 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 my energy got wrecked. Maybe, but then there is a purpose to our life, right? I teach people sometimes that your purpose finds you, and much as I wouldn't have necessarily seen this to be my purpose on the planet, it actually does incorporate everything I am. Because I've done the personal development, you know, for years. I've helped people come into their full self-expression for years. I've helped people create their dreams for years. So now I'm helping them with one of the hardest things to shift on the planet, or the most misunderstood, which is the trauma, which is actually the thing that's blocking them from all of that. So I guess it all makes sense, right, in hindsight. Yeah. I always wanted to help people and change their lives. I always wanted to use my healing modalities. I just didn't realize how I'd have to be taught what that looked like. Now, whatever position you're in, I don't believe It's your life, well, I know for a fact, spiritually, it's not your life purpose to be frozen in situations of narcissist. It's your job to evolve. Yeah? This is not your life sentence. This is not where you're supposed to be staying. This is not the moment of your life where you've now lost it all. That's what I almost thought, where everything now just goes down the drain, where you've had the best of. This is the kind of things I used to think. I used to think, well, I've had the best of my life. I haven't travelled a lot. I did have a nice place, and I did da-da-da-da. Maybe I should just give up now. No. No. I haven't even had a tip of the iceberg of what my life's supposed to be. I haven't even had the kind of love in my life and communities and stuff that I'm now building. I haven't even reached the people's hearts and minds that I'm meant to reach. I haven't even tipped the iceberg of what my life was meant to be. And there was a moment where I thought, well, I've had some nice experiences. Maybe this is it now, because this is so bad, I can't live like this. I decided I can't live like this. I realized it. But the answer wasn't not to live. The answer was to transform and grow. Right, in a way that I had no clue at the time how to do, because it would require me to integrate everything I'd learned and channel and download more than what I'd been taught, so that I could transform through this. Yeah, it's sometimes hard for people to transform without any kind of trauma, but to transform when you actually traumatize, actually, in some ways, like I made the video about deciding it's enough, you've got the biggest reason to, although we think it's the biggest reason not to. Interestingly enough, in quantum physics, there's a law of polarity. It's about, for everything in the universe, there's an equal and an opposite. So no matter how bad it's been, it can be equally as good for you. I don't believe that your skills need that much help on learning to love. I believe we naturally, in our hearts, are loving. I do believe we need to be conscious of how to stay safe. Sovereign is a lot about values, getting in touch with you, your boundaries, your standards, who you are. Living a life that's authentic and on purpose, which is what I'd always stood for. But what I didn't realise was how much I'd let other people invade that, and how much of a target I can be, frankly, honestly. Like, that's not me being paranoid. Like, that is something that I've had to realise spiritually, that if you're on a certain spiritual path, you are a target for darker energies. It just is. But when you know what you're dealing with, you can banish them out. They don't have to touch you. But you do have to know what you're dealing with. And that's what we've not always been taught. At the same time, on a spiritual path, you're gifted, you're protected, as long as you step into your path. Now, faith is, again, learned helplessness. I stopped praying from learned helplessness. I stopped saying, God, rescue me, rescue me, rescue me. I kind of clearly understood that was not his plan. It seemed to be that his plan at that particular moment in my life was not to save me. So I stopped asking him to do that, because he'd clearly heard me. Like I had the speak, help me. No, he'd heard that a million times. That wasn't his plan. So then I had to say, I trust you with this. Make me strong. I trust you with this. What do I need to know? I trust you with this. Show me how to be powerful. I trust you with this. Show me how to heal it. Show me how to heal it for other people. I started praying differently in my power. I stopped asking to be saved. When we pray, it's, again, faith is kind of trust and then walking in faith. I had to make moves that I still do it every day of my life, by the way, or not every day, but a lot of times. But it would surprise you behind the scenes how I make, well, it wouldn't surprise you, but it's not like you get healed and everything's just easy in your life. Not when you're on purpose. There's big decisions to make often. There's big risks to take often. There's still walking in faith often. When you're trusting, when you've got no answer, when you don't see how, when it doesn't make sense, when you're having to trust the universe to provide for you in a way that you have no idea, logically, what it's going to look like. Right, that's the path I walk. But that's faith. That's faith in my intuition. That's faith in my relationship with God. That's faith in, okay, help me be the person I need to be in order to do this. I don't know how to do this. Help me be the person I need to be. Right? And then when you get the intuition to move, you move, but you do it regulated. It's not just, I've taught you this before, like if I'm just escaping or needing to be rescued, I'm coming from an energy where I'm going to attract more situations that I need to escape from and be rescued from. If I move in power, because it means something to me. What did it mean when I got in that first hotel? I couldn't stay in a hotel more than, I think, 7 to 10 days when I first went that way. What did it mean? A line in the sand. What did it mean? I was going to find a way. What did it mean? I took my power back. What did it mean? I was going to have to live moment to moment, breath by breath sometimes. right? Not knowing what the future hold. But if I don't know what the next week looks like, then I'm just going to cope with today. If I don't know what the next, I don't know, move is, I'm going to deal with the moves of today and do my absolute best. I can be an energetic match to my potential in the universe by doing my absolute best today. Not knowing what, the future looks like, but today I'm bringing my potential. What does that mean? Well, it does mean the things I teach you in Sovereign: self-focus, self-partnering, self-sourcing. It does not mean self-pushing out of yourself. In fact, when you self-partner and self-focus, you honor yourself, but not with an intentionality to grow, I'd say, in my work. It's not just honor yourself, you feel crappy, lie in bed for a week, because that's not going to make your life worthwhile in the long run, But it's not to push yourself harder and push against the grain. It's to self-partner in a new way with an intentionality to transform and grow. Listening to something today, and we all know this, when the caterpillar goes into the cocoon, probably thinks it's dead. Because I don't think a caterpillar would ever look at a butterfly and think that was its path. It probably doesn't think it's going to become the butterfly. In fact, it probably thinks they all go in the cocoon and that's it, because there's no caterpillar. I mean, the difference between a caterpillar and a butterfly are just two completely different things. But that's why we always talk about butterflies in transformation, because you can come out so much more beautiful, so much more strong, but you're going to be different. And you're going to learn how to really own yourself and your sovereignty and your power on the planet in a new way, right? It doesn't have to mean you go and do anything with other people. It just means that you have an experience of life that's yours on your terms, right? Not constantly trying to fix and heal yourself. I love healing, but for me, I don't take long with people on that, because, we can revisit things, but your expression and your expansion is also my focus, that we want to be the butterflies, right? And we don't want to stay in the goop. You're not supposed to just stay in the goop. That's the healing bit. You don't just stay in the goop. You transform. You learn to fly. You learn to shine. You learn to be beautiful again. You learn to be radiant. You learn to regenerate. Yeah? That's transformation. All right, my loves, if you want to join Sovereign, please do. You can still get in, but I will shut the doors at some point, because it's self-paced, but I really do support these groups heavily. Live Q&As, when you comment, I'm there. It's a very good system. So at a certain point, I'll shut it, because I will feel like it's too late for you to really join this round. There's nothing like that work. And you get in such a lot of personal support. It's nothing like a self-study course. It's such a different experience, and it's extremely potent. So I hope you can join that. The time is now for that. Lots of love. I'll speak to you soon.